Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Our salutation to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, who is the destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, and the dear darling of the mother Devaki, and the God and the teacher of the whole universe. We salute him again and again. Om peace, peace, peace. So we are in the middle of the reading of the Bhagavata, book number 3, that's called Skandha 3, and we are in chapter 26. We read the other day about how the Virat Purusha creation and the creation came as described by Kapila. Who is Kapila? Kapila is the founder of Sankhya philosophy. He is prescribing the Sankhya ideal here. And he is talking to his mother, whose her name is Devaki. Devahuti. Devahuti is the name of her. So now is very interesting. The creation has been described, how Purusha and Prakriti came together, and because of that coming, how all the creation has come multifarious. This whole universe is because of the Purusha and Prakriti. And Purusha, misunderstanding about that, identification has happened. Purusha is ever disconnected with anything of the mundane, is all consciousness and pure bliss. But because it has come in contact with the Prakriti, so the nature of the Prakriti has been intermingled into it, like Vedanta, and then the Prakriti is active, and being attached to the active Prakriti, Purusha forgets his nature and acts like an ignorant jiva, you, me, individual jiva. Now this how to get out of this? We are in this entrapped into this bondage, but how to get out of this entanglement with the body, mind, and all the emotions, all the sufferings, all the pain, how to get out of it. So this chapter will deal with the Upadesha, the advice, the way of Kapila to get out of this bondage. This Upadesha is given, advice is given. So what is the bondage and what is the liberation? That is being described here. The very first verse, chapter 27, we are starting today, and here it says, Prakritistopi Purusha na jate prakritair gunain avikarad akurtritvat nirgunatvat ujjala arkavat. Ujjala arkavat. Both saying that this Purusha, what is the nature of the Purusha? Purusha na ijjate, is subsist, is does not affected, or it does not, it does not a movable entity, it does not changeable entity. Na ijjate, Purusho na ijjate, Prakritair gunai, with the gunas of the Prakriti. Though it permeates everywhere, like the space permeates everything, but space remains unaffected. So similarly, though the Purusha, this means individual jiva, individual soul, not the man or woman here, but the soul which is inside, that Purusha, in each jiva, what has happened? It's subsisting in Prakriti, it lives in Prakriti. But he is unaffected by Prakriti. He lives in the water, the boat, but boat is unaffected by the water. Water does not enter into the boat. Actually, really, nothing has happened. Purusha remains all the time pure. Even I am thinking I am this and I am suffering this, that. That's why Vedanta says, same, the foundation is the Sankhya. He says, you know, that is the foundation. There, Purusha does not do anything. It is unconcerned. It is ever pure. So he says, though the Purusha, which is subsisting in Prakriti, he is unaffected by Prakriti and its transformations. All changes come in the Prakriti. You put the rice pot and all rice, potato, etc., etc. Heat remains the same. Whether it is in the oven, it touches the pot or the items, but the items get transformed. Prakriti, all the items which you started cooking, when cooked it becomes different. It becomes different, that is the question. So Prakriti is changing every day and it becomes different. But the consciousness is not affected by the Prakriti and its transformation. Even as the sun, example, jate the sun, arkavat, jala arkavat. As the sun is unaffected by the movement of the reflections of the water. Sun remains the same. Reflection, the earth movement or anything moving, you keep the light there, you rotate. Sun rotates as it were, but sun does not do anything. Sun remains the same. Rotation happens in the Prakriti. Even the sun is unaffected by the movements of its reflection in water. For the Purusha is by nature, is changeless, avikarat, without volition, avikarat, akurtritat, without any volition. He has no ego. I do, I will do. And unmoved by the gunas of Prakriti or dispositions of nature. So it is Purusha remains unattached. This is Sankhya philosophy. So in Sankhya philosophy one practices that I am the Purusha. Purusha is the unchanged, unaffected. It lives in the Prakriti. But though it lives in the Prakriti, it is untouched by the Prakriti, its nature and its transformations. When the Purusha becomes intensely attached to the gunas, that has become our condition. We all have become intensely attached to the gunas of the Prakriti. Prakriti has its elements, etc., etc. Not me. And changes are happening in them. Prakriti has the mind under the Prakriti. Prakriti has buddhi. Prakriti has ego. Prakriti has the chitta, memory. All these are in the Prakriti, but I, the consciousness, being in it, I was staying in that, I get affected. As we normally, if we remain in a room, we get affected by the room. Something is happening in the room. Roof is leaking. The wall is whole. Rats are entering. No? But it is nothing happening to me. I am not the room. I am not the floor. I am not the roof. But I entering into the Prakriti, 24 principles, I think I am the body, I am the mind, I am this, and all its changes, whatever is happening. So when the Purusha becomes intensely attached to the gunas of Prakriti, how? Now by identifying himself with them, he forgets his changeless nature. Swaevo jarhi prakriteir guneshu obhi visajjate. It gets entered into the gunas and getting entangled at the actions of the gunas. Aham kriya vimudatma karta osmi iti bhivannate. Aham kriya, because of the ego sense. So Prakriti by identifying he forgets his changeless nature and considers himself as the ego, I, and the movement of the Prakriti. I and all its ego. Changes of the Prakriti means mind, ego, intellect, ego. They are changing and I am changing. I am happy, I am unhappy. I am not unhappy. I, the real I, the Purusha, not Brahman. We are not talking about Brahman here. But the Purusha Prakriti is the individual Vedanta Sankhya idea. That there are many Purushas, many Prakritis. But Purusha nature is the same, Prakriti's nature is the same. Thus, through this identification with Prakriti, Jiva becomes helpless and miserable. When it entangles into anything, he becomes miserable and he needs things who will help me to get out of this miserable. Due to the moral effects of action done with such identification, the jiva gets involved in the cycles of birth and death through embodiment in high, low and middling species of beings according to the nature of the moral effects. So being entangled into the Prakriti, what happens? He, the individual, does good and bad action, have cravings and desires. So good, bad, all this karma, and then that takes them to the cycling of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. So, thus through the identification with the Prakriti, Jiva becomes helpless and miserable. How? Due to the moral effects of action. Action, when it is done, it has its effect. So good action will take to good work, peace, joy, and that is also an action that brings happiness. But when it is done something wrong, Prakriti is changing, but the I consciousness, Purusha, is thinking, I am unhappy. So this happens as a result, the individual jiva gets into the cycle of birth and death through the embodiment in the high life, high species means the higher species, gods, goddesses, middle species, human, and lower species, animals and plants and this and that. Only according to their karma, they are all. And where the karma is coming from is only identification. See how scientifically he is bringing the philosophy, how only identification has created all this problem. All our suffering of life is identification. Suppose someone, we face so many challenges of homeless people and this and that, no? So many people, it should not be, I'm not giving any heartlessness, that don't take that. It's to justify the example I am talking. You do not know that person, but you feel sympathetic, no? And then you try to help, go little 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. As you move on, then you feel more suffering of that particular person. If you can feel the suffering of everyone, that's a different thing. That's Thakur said, daya, compassion. And particular one person, you feel, because you saw somebody and you were kind to that person, and then you see the suffering of that person. So you think it is my suffering. Yeah? And then you get entangled into happiness or pleasure. His happiness or her happiness is your happiness, your pleasure or your... So this identification creates the problem of all. But is it not good that you should serve others? Don't take that example here. How attachment leads one to suffer or to enjoy. That is the point.
So, suppose a fish has a Prakriti and a Purusha also. But a fish doesn't have that much intellect to separate Purusha and Prakriti. So then what will happen?
That's why it is said that a human body is the only body where you do the karma, and all other lives are the fruits of karma, enjoyment of the fruits of karma.
But they also have Purusha.
They have Purusha Prakriti like you, me. And if I do certain karma, and I am to enjoy that fruit of that karma phala, then I'll have to be born in a fish body. And when I'm in the fish body, that is an experience of your karmic result. When the karmic result will be over, 1 year, 6 months, when the fish will die, then he comes back to human life again. That is the concept. Therefore, there you don't accrue any karma. In the lower animals, because they have no brain, intentional anything, instinctive. Most of the tiger, they're instinctive. They don't think that I am doing anything wrong or right, that understanding is not there. So that is the karma bhumi. This Swami Vivekananda also said this, the human birth is a karma bhumi, the land where you do karma. Your karma can lead you to be a god, demon, or plant, ant. Upanishad says, masako va, kito va. What they talk about? Fish. Masako is mosquito. Kito, this insects. Insect life. But that you cannot blame for he bites you. You don't feel that he is doing intentionally. For survival mode, he will have to do. That does not accrue their karma in that life. But what happens when we do good karma, it is intentional, mind is attached here, identification is there, all this, that's why developed soul have big problems. Undeveloped soul, they don't bother about. That's Ramakrishna's story. That story that one man was going and then they found that night, it has become night, or tired, had to take rest, and he found that one Shiva temple. And no one is there. So he went there and after tired, he put this cow somewhere tied with this, and then went into the Shiva temple, cool place, put his boots on the Shiva temple, Shiva, and lied down and slept. And the Brahmin who was there, he got the curse. Why? Because he has no sense. It is Shiva, it is God, Goddess, it is stone to him. It's a very resting place, good resting place. You will put your leg like that. But it is you love me, so why did you keep the door open for him? You should have to protect, no? Your shrine, you should take care, no? So this point is that because we have the knowledge, with knowledge when you do, its result is to be experienced in another way. And who does innocently, say child, does something innocently, no one punishes the child for that. But adults are punished. Why? Adult means you have your understanding has developed. You cannot do whatever you like. Your karma follow. So this main thing is that animals and other bodies are the body to experience the karmic result, bad karma results, and good karma results are gods and angels and like that.
So all animals are just humans being punished for bad karma?
That is said, and another says human development coming from the lower animal to higher and higher and higher. And also if this question, when this happens, that human goes to that time, that period, they don't accrue any karma because they are not intentional doing. Punishment in the courthouse is two types, no? When intentional killing or unintentional something. People said, oh, he does not mind us. He's psychologically disturbed people, he did this out of nothing. So punishment is reduced or something else. But if it's intentionally planned way, you have done something, that punishment is much more. Even in the court in the law, fourth point, the real agent and the real doer is Prakriti. Real doer real agent is Purusha, like Prakriti. Purusha does not do anything. If you say who does everything, it is Prakriti. Ramakrishna's simple example in Indian household in early days, that grandma, she will collect all these seeds and this and that in a bundle, no? And she is the owner of the house, and she is moving here and there and controlling every item. And the man, Indian man, babus, they're sitting and with a hubble bubble and talking to other people and doing nothing. Babu is sitting there. And the lady in the house, she is controlling everything and controlling, managing everything. And occasionally coming to the boss, husband, and saying, this is done, that is to be done, some help is necessary there. And say, yeah, okay. So Purusha does not do anything. Prakriti does. Thakur's example is more appropriate in the context to those who understand Indian context. In early days. That's why even here, when the husband, when a married couple comes, no, the husband will be babu sitting. And we will have to do everything. Even some people come here, I have seen, they will have to be served. Hurry, take the plate, we are all lined together, but he will sit. The wife will bring all the plate ready and then put it. No, that means she is the doer, he is nothing to do. So meaning is that is the society's one way of society's behavior pattern. But the main point is that it is all happening in the nature. But Purusha is not doing anything. He does not do. Light does not get affected whether I am reading a holy book or an unholy book. But light is the cause of my reading. Good, bad. Someone is doing a forgery under the light. Another is also worshipping the Lord in the light. No? Light is unaffected. So Purusha is unaffected. Without it, Prakriti cannot function.
Prakriti wants to get rid of Prakriti.
Purusha, that's why the Prakriti is, that's why Swamiji said Prakriti.
The desire to get liberation comes in Prakriti, not in Purusha.
Desire means Prakriti. Purusha is consciousness.
But Prakriti wants to get rid of Prakriti.
Yeah, now Purusha identifying with the Prakriti becomes Prakriti-like. I become like a Prakriti. And I think I am doing. From morning, I did this, I did that. No, you didn't do. The Prakriti did everything. So you are unnecessarily poking your nose there. So you disidentify. Then you will be free. Everything goes on. You are not affected. So disidentification is the great philosophy of that is the foundation. Sankhya is called the foundation of Vedanta. The same principle, only a few minor conceptual ideas is that individual soul and cosmic soul, this, that. The real agent is Prakriti and not the Purusha, and thus there is no basis for the sense of agency on the part of Purusha. Purusha cannot say I. You are wrongly saying I. It is Prakriti. You only merging into it, you are identifying wrongly, not on the Purusha aspect, but on the Prakriti aspect. Yet, the sense of identification with Prakriti is enough. Sense of only identification, mental identification. We see how much the whole world is mental identification and disidentification. Mental identification, mom, dad, they love their children. Mental identification lack. The same child, same mom, same dad behaves differently. So it is detachment, attachment we call, it is the same type. Is enough to involve Purusha in the cycle of birth and death. So this identification is more powerful to involve anyone into the cycle of desire and life and coming and going and birth and disease. The cycle of birth and death. Just as for one involved in a dream, identification is enough to give the dreamer experience of a painful or a pleasurable nature. So in a dream, just a gross example. You dream, something appears in the mind, and the witness consciousness merging that I am that guy here, and I am suffering, I am... So it is the... Actually, entire dream is false. It has come only for the moment. But where is the dream now? It has not happened. Considering this world is real, that is unreal. But Vedanta will say both are unreal. That don't bring that. Problem is that don't, when we talk about something, don't bring the whole Vedanta everywhere here. Here is a specific example. When I am in dream, last night I saw the dream, and I was happy. I was unhappy. I was happy with getting something, what I wanted. I was very unhappy or frightened or fearful, what I saw, and I identified that I suffered. You cannot say I didn't suffer. But where is that suffering or where is that joy? Is there anything here now? No, that's a dream is dream. As dream is dream, so this is also dream. The painful experience, pleasurable experience, all are due to identification. So identification, hammer on the point, identification. 5th verse. Therefore, to gain liberation, the mind has to be slowly drawn away from this involvement with Prakriti and its evolutes. That is the object of the senses, senses and its sense objects. Prakriti and Vikriti. That's how we say, Holy Mother. Prakriti Vikriti Shunna Nityamananda Murtim. Ramakrishna. Prakriti Vikriti Shunnam. Every day, morning we chant. Prakriti is the nature and Vikriti is transformation. Shunnam. This line. It is bereft of all the nature and its involutes. All this gone out. So then what happens? That is the Purusha, you become Purusha. And it evolutes and united with the Supreme Being, that means Purusha, through the practice of devotion to Him and the cultivation of an extreme repugnance to the objects of the senses. So, you have to detach from this world and worldliness and attach to God. Simple formula. So that is the verse number 5. এই যে অতএব শনৈ চিত্তম prasaktam asatang puthi. That means, therefore, chitta, the mind, which is shanai, which is prasaktam, which has been deeply attached to satang puthi, asatam puthi, in impermanent objects or the objects of the Prakriti, slowly practice, bhakti yogena, tibrena, viraktya cha nait dayam. So, by bhakti yoga, by devotion to God, bhakti yoga means devotion to God, tibra virakti, intense detachment, intense rejection of the objects of the Prakriti. See, that's what we say, love for God and detachment to the world. The same thing. Ishware anurag, Ramakrishna said, Ishware anurag, Vishaye vitorag. Vishaye vairagya. So, in the detachment from the sense objects and Ishware anurag, love for God, that is the path. So, Bhakti Yogena Tibrana Virakta, Nayat Dasam, Dayam, Nayat Basam. Oh, it will bring under control. Basam means control. This identification to destroy, Sanai, slow practice, is this, that mind which has been attached to the sense objects slowly is to be brought back by this practice. Nayat Bhakti Yogena and Tibrena Virakta. One is love for God, and Virakta means being detached from the objects of the attachment. Now, the disciplines for the attainment of liberation are as follows. Then what are the disciplines I shall follow? 6th verse. Yamadivir yoga pathair. You have to follow yama, niyama, asana. It is yoga path. Patanjali's yoga philosophy. What says? First is yama and niyama. What is yama? Yama is, we have discussed many times, ahimsa, sattva, astya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Non-injury, truthfulness, astya, brahmacharya, celibacy, non-stealing, aparigraha, non-receiving gift. We have discussed that. And also niyama. What is the niyama? Niyamas are shaucha, purification of the body, santosha, containment of the mind, tapa, austerity, swadhyaya, study and spiritual reading of the spiritual text, and japa, and surrender to God. So, jamadivir yugapathair abhyasan sraddhayannita. You have to do practice. How will you realize in one jump, I am Brahman? Will not do. Most of the problem is happening there. Philosophy, Vedanta is nothing wrong. It is the truth. That is the ultimate truth. But we have to get ready ourselves. So that's why yama, niyama, these are fundamental. That's why he says, jamadivir yogapathair abhyasan sraddhayannita. It's a practice of bhas. Sraddhayannita, becoming very respectfully practicing these disciplines. Brahmacharjena, celibacy. Maunena means not chattering worldly talks, rather living in the concepts and our control of the speech. Sadharma baliyasa, following your own dharma of life. You are a professor's dharma, doctor's dharma, engineer's dharma. You are a political person's duties, responsibilities, wife's dharma, husband's dharma, mom's dharma. So this is the dharma. Meaning, what we expect from a person, ideal mom, what do we expect? You have to do that. God realization will not be so easy. But you see, the Bhakti Yoga says good books, but it is no relaxation there. You have to do your perfect. First be a dharmic person, and then the superstructure of spirituality will be built up. So, brahmacharjena, maunena. So the translation goes, what are the means? The discipline of yoga, which is the yoga consisting in the practice of inward concentration along with the control of the senses and the mind, has to be practiced with absolute faith in the spiritual destiny of man. One should have genuine devotion to me and practice the discipline of devout listening to accounts of my deeds and excellences. Lila, Lila Katha. Sarva bhuta samattena nirvairo aprasangata brahmacharjena maunena sadharmena baliyasa. One should be strong in these noble practices, genuine devotion for God, practice of the discipline of a devout, like a devotee, going to holy places where they talk about God, listening to them, and thinking of their divine play of the Lord. So, by that being spiritual muscles, baliyasha, it should be bala. Bala means power. You have to build up your spiritual muscles like that. Then will come all this, no? Equally sympathy and love for all. And another, it is not so easy, God realization. Sarva bhuta samatvena. You love everyone, God is there. Sarva bhuta, all created beings, is not human only. Bhagavad extends much further. Sarva bhuta, anything created in the world, nirvairo aprasangata, nirvairo. It should not be enemy to anyone. That means don't hate anyone. They equally sympathy and love for all. Then Sraddhayannito, being very much prasaktam, sarvabhur nirvairam aprasangata. and abstain from the exploitation of others, of prasangata. Brahmacharya, non-attachment, continence, silence, discharge of duties, conscientiously, and discharging your duty conscientiously, very consciously doing that. Satisfaction with one's legitimate income. Satisfaction with one's legitimate income, not bribery, not putting money in the pocket by any means. How the whole world is moving for that, no? But spiritual life is to you, whether you are Sankhya philosophy or Vedanta philosophy, we may make a distinction, but the scriptures don't allow that. That is a defect of Hindu religion or what? That's why Hindus are so always genuine people, will be always humble. If someone beats, okay. Swamiji says, fight. Aage fight, then you be sattiko. Tamasic person, out of fear, could not protest. I say, I am a great sadhu. No, I have no power to protest or take action. I am a very holy person. I don't hurt anyone. You have no capacity. First, when his compassion is where he has the power and you don't exert. No. So that is the point. Discharge of duties conscientiously, satisfaction with one's legitimate income, moderation in eating, devotional retreats in solitude, friendliness to all, calmness of disposition. Baba re Baba. How many lists you do to get bhakti? To get separation from Sankhya philosophy, this much is necessary. And if this scripture would have said, go and kill someone and go to heaven. You do something and then go. Allah's work or God's work, you do. Wrongly, in Hinduism, in Islam, in all their fundamentalistic people, they preach something which is not the message of this Bhagavad or such scriptures. So, devotional retreats, you go to devotional retreat in solitude, then you think, what have I done good, but automatically will come. Why repentance comes in people's mind? When he becomes alone, those thoughts come up from the mind. Oh, what did I do? Because of this it is happening. I did that wrong, that is happening. No. Friendliness to all, calmness of disposition, kindliness, self-control, absence of attachment to one's own body and to one's own kith and kin, their own family people. Reflection on the distinction between Purusha and Prakriti. Every day try to separate out what is Purusha, what is Prakriti. Those are some of the disciplines. More are there. I am only a few only. You have to do that. Have to be followed. See, reading this book, what will be the life, spiritual life then? Before you enter into God or do all these several points, then you will be a godly person. God consciousness, your personality will be divine like that. Transcending the states of waking, dream and sleep in which the buddhi usually dwells. Our buddhi, our intellect, dwells where? In the waking state? In sleep state? Sleep state does not, but little bit. I, consciousness, remain very feeble, almost zero. When we go to deep sleep, I am sleeping, that we come back and say, but during that time, very almost dead. In the dream, buddhi is alert. Now, buddhi is alert. So he says, transcending the states of waking, dream and sleep, in which the buddhi usually dwells, and withdrawing from the perception of many, the aspirant should experience the Supreme Spirit, capital S, capital Spirit, through his own innermost essence, Atman. As the eye perceives the sun, for just as the eyesight is of the essence of the sun, the innermost essence is the Atman. The supreme non-dual divinity pervading everything is to be experienced even in the manifested world. Then after that experience, you'll see, you have to experience that undivided consciousness permeates everywhere, with eyes open. And the eyes closed, you think this, and in eyes open also you think like that. The effect condition of Prakriti, Asat. The divinity, the supreme non-dual divinity, which is pervading everything, is to be experienced even in the manifested world. So in this manifested world, you have to see that is all divine is behind all this Prakriti. Behind the Prakriti is the Purusha. That idea is to be taken. As his ultimate source, he is the closest friend of Satchidananda, of Sat, the Jiva, and to be approached in the form loving relation. He is also the eye, the guide, and enlivener of Asat, one's own body and the material nature of which it is part. For it is his consciousness that sustains and reveals everything. So this consciousness is inside, consciousness is outside. The whole world is permeated by that Purusha, and also inside, every action that is also happening because of the consciousness. The reflection of light on a wall from a pool of water or a glass diverts a person's attention to the source of the reflection, namely the pool or the glass. When there is a reflection of light on the wall from a pool of water or a glass, diverts a person's attention to the source of that reflection, namely the pool or the glass. From the reflection, the pool or glass, the sun, its source is shining in the sky, is traced. So we seeing the reflection, we go back to the cause. But when the reflection is mixed with this, we get mixed up. Even so, from the self-consciousness that is reflected in the body, sense, mind combination, their source, the I sense, ahankara, is to be traced. Now, you have to find out what is that I working in the body-mind. Like the Vedanta says, the light of self-consciousness in the I is to be traced. Is I. What is the light behind? What makes me say I am conscious, I see, I eat, I do. What is that consciousness behind the I? You have to trace it to the Jiva, who, being a ray of this self-luminous truth, Supreme Being, can gain union with him through devotion. So, if you find it that, and that is called God, and through devotional practice, you can reach there, that point, that who is behind this. When in deep sleep, the consciousness of the body, mind, and all the elements of the personality have, as it were, dissolved into nothingness, the Atman remains sleepless, but without the I sense and individuality. Look at that. When we go to deep sleep, the example is that the deep sleep, the consciousness of the body is gone. When we are in deep sleep, no one remembers his body. And no one remembers his mind. Mind is no more even dreaming. And all the elements of the personality, what you wear, you are in society, what is your position, what is your financial condition, what is your social position. People don't remember anything. All are gone. Dissolved as if they dissolve into nothingness, as if they are not. The same person is, say, a Supreme Court Chief Justice. When he sleeps, what happens? Where goes his all position, his knowledge, his power? As if nothing. The person is lying down and he disidentifies with everything. It happens unconsciously, everything is happening. the Atman remains sleepless, but there somebody remains sleepless. That's why he says, I slept. So, but without the I sense and individuality, at that point I do not know I am sleeping. After coming back, I say, oh, I was sleeping. I slept so deep today. That means when you are sleeping deep, you are totally free from all types of attachment, aversion, your qualities, your personality, your ability, your strength, your weakness. You are as if that is nothing of you. So, but there is some consciousness which observes. That's why we say I. When the I sense is absent, it may look as though the self is dissolved. Every day, when we go to deep sleep, our I sense goes away. As if we think we are already gone. No, we don't go, we don't dissolve, we come back again. But this view is false, as thinking that a man who has been robbed of his wealth is destroyed. It's giving an identity. That when a person is going and someone is robbed, his assets go away, but the person remains. Similarly, our assets, accumulated assets of this duality, this prakriti and this nature, all are taken away, as it were in the deep sleep state. So you remain in a state as if you are almost that I consciousness. So the view is as false as thinking that a man has been robbed of his wealth is destroyed. So when I sense is absent, it may look as though the self is dissolved. Our small self is dissolved, our self does not die. Big self, that is not the question. Small self, this self. When I go to, now I am this body, I know my failures, my power, my health, my this and that. I go to sleep, I also feel there I have my body and this and that. But when I go to deep sleep state, then I lose all contact, as if they are dead. They are gone, they are dissolved. But no, the small self does not die. It retains their identity and then again pops up. Reflecting in this manner, one arrives at the Atman, which is the support and enlivener of the I sense in the body-mind combination. So, understanding this, that one can disassociate with this philosophy of Purusha can be separated with the Prakriti. Now, Devahuti said, Devahuti mother, after hearing this much from his son Kapila Dev, Devahuti mother says, Devahuti said, "Oh Lord, I cannot grant that Purusha can ever be free of the hold of Prakriti, because they seem to be mutually interdependent and eternally connected." The mother is putting the question, what you said that they will totally be separated, but this separation I don't think is possible, because they are interdependent. The heat is dependent to manifest the universe, and the material is also necessary to create the universe. Just as one cannot experience separate existence for the element water and its property, flavor. Can you separate out the water and its flavor? Or can you separate out the flower and its fragrance? Like that. So also there is no existence in separation for Prakriti and Purusha, for body-mind combination and the small self. While the body-mind combination, the product of Prakriti, is thus irrevocably operating, how can this self-capital ever attain to freedom from karma and its consciousness, in despite of the fact the self is described as non-agent? So it says, because they are interdependent and they exist so long, so how can it be separated out? It is not possible to separate out anymore. It looks as if there is no liberation for the self. Then you are talking about liberation. This small self will be liberated from this identification. There is no chance, as it were. For by philosophical reflection, one may seem to rise above the sense of bondage. For the nuns, what is NONC? Nuns?
Means for the instant.
The instant, for the instant, for a moment.
For now. Yeah.
For now. But as the cause of bondage, namely the hold of Prakriti on the Purusha, is still there, unresolved, their bondage can recur. So even if you say that they separate out for a moment, but they cannot separate out, they will have to come back into the bondage again, because they are so close, and again Purusha Prakriti will come in contact and they will regenerate again this life. Bhagavan Kapila is giving, question is very tough, the answer is also very tough. Bhagavan Kapila said, the oppressive bondage of Purusha by the Prakriti to the body-mind can be destroyed by sadhana or spiritual discipline, practiced with the help of body-mind itself. With this, taking this body-mind as a tool, we can destroy the identification of body-mind with the consciousness. Taking help of this body-mind, we can control ourselves and can separate out. This is actually what we are doing. We are thinking, who is the consciousness behind us, no? How are you doing? Using your brain, using your mind, using your day-to-day experience. So, Kapil Dev said, no, it is not like that. You practice, it will happen. And sadhana or spiritual discipline, with the help of this body-mind itself, this body-mind which is identification is causing the trouble, take advantage of this body-mind, you do japa, meditation, prayer. The same thing which has caused you this bondage, the same thing will help you to be free. As fire lit with the help of a fuel destroys that very fuel, so spiritual discipline practiced with the help of the body-mind gradually destroys that very bad body-mind idea. Taking the help of body-mind, kill the body-mind. That is the point. Actually, Vedanta says, I am not the body, not the mind, not the mind, not the body, not the mind. Day and night they are talking, no? I am not the body, not the mind. Saying so all the time, they go beyond body-mind. So that is the suggestion. Take help of this body-mind, which is now you are feeling in ignorance, it is causing suffering and pleasure and pain. Use this same body-mind to fight out and separate out. So, help of the body-mind gradually destroy the body-mind, which is the product of Prakriti, by which the Purusha is held in bondage. So Purusha is held in bondage because of the body-mind. And with this body-mind taking, with this practice of discipline and practice of this, all the sadhana, it will get out of this body-mind. There is a Swami Sarvadevananda used to give this example, San Francisco Swami, that when the German Hitler's Bahini was marching and conquering one country after Poland, after this country and that country, what they are doing, they took the army, don't kill them, take them and train them to be a part of their movement, of their own strength. So everywhere they are gaining more military power by conquering that country and captivating those military people, that warriors, to fight on behalf of him. So similarly, this body-mind, which was a cause of trouble, take this body-mind and conquer it, and then it will be, with that power you can get out of the body-mind. One must perform one's duties, swadharma, without any motive other than the service of God through it. We do, that's a great lesson of Hinduism. Whatever you do, do your swadharma. What is your dharmic perspective of life, do your duties. Bas, and think you are doing for God. Bas. Don't think of anything. No result, nothing good, nothing bad. We suffer because of our next step, good and bad. I like this, I don't like this, I accept and then. You do your duty for your mom. Do your duty. Dad, do your duty. Finish, hands off. Think that you are done for God. And what they do, let them do. So you are free. One must cultivate purity in the body and mind through hearing, reading and meditating on the Lord's excellences all through life. It does not come in one day. Again and again, hearing about the glories of God, the pure life of God, and meditating on them, singing their glories, it will happen. One must cultivate an intense love for God. He must seek knowledge, which is the nature of actual experience of truth. What is knowledge? Actual experience. We should seek for experience. Don't stop your spiritual sadhana till you experience it. One must have intense dispassion for the worldly objects and ambitions. One must practice concentration supported by moral disciplines and spiritual aspirations. One must intensely seek absorption in the divine. See, this will not happen without these practices. Theoretical knowledge is knowledge, but sadhan karna chahiye manua, bhajan karna chahiye. Practice, practice, practice. The jiva, who has experienced the joys and sorrows provided by Prakriti, has abandoned them as utterly worthless and has established himself to the glory of the Supreme Being, is now again obsessed by Prakriti. The dreams experienced by a sleeping person can cause him much unpleasantness. But when he is awakened, they trouble him no more. When I am in the dream, I am suffering. There is a violent fight going on, and I am in the middle of that. But when the dream is woke up, you don't see anything. Oh, you are quite sad. Nothing has happened. So similarly, is a dream will be awakened. In the same way, the Prakriti cannot harm the persons who have known the truth regarding the unaffected Atman and whose mind is always united with me and delighted in me, the Supreme Spirit. Time is also up. Okay, there are only 2-3 verses. We'll read the other day. And then I am ending here on verse number 26 of Book 3, Chapter 28, verse number. So 3.28.26, I end here. Okay, we'll then again meet you at 7:30 for our Santi Gita class, which is it is already read, but we are repeating, revising the reading. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. For souls who take a human body, then have a childhood and or life of suffering, is this also the result of bad karma? If so, is it possible for them to free themselves of that karma in the same lifetime? Yeah, that's true. If you believe in the karma theory, then this is true. Karma theory says that all present actions are due to my past karma. But if we think the way this Bhagavat taught us, building up our nature by spiritual practice, not talking big theory, but practice, and to try to see the consciousness inside, consciousness outside, reading, listening to the holy talks of the incarnations, their Leela, Bhagavat Leela, the divine play, and remembering, listening to their, cultivating the Jama, Niyama, all these spiritual practices, then it will happen. And yes, it is possible to free. That's why we are all struggling. It is possible, surely it is possible. That karma, I did the karma, if I undo the karma, I did the karma this way, if I do the other way, result will be different. And when I do all karma, but the result I give it to God, then karma will not bind me. But the problem is that I do the karma and keep the effect of the karma result in my pocket. Today I went to marketplace and earned this much money, I keep it in my pocket. So if you have earned something, it will remain. If you have lost something, it will be lost. But if you give every account to God, this is my good earning today, oh Lord, I give away. This is my bad earning or no earning, I give it to you. So if you give, so you'll be free. You are not the holder, holding the things for your own pleasure. Everything you transfer to God, then you will be free from all bondage. So karma, bad karma or good karma, not to judge. That's why Bhagavad didn't say anything. He said only do positively your swadharma, your ashrama dharma, and performing your own dharma and practicing spiritual discipline, practice, it will happen. Okay? So thank you. We are hopeful it will happen. And that is why we are here. Otherwise, what is the life of monastic life, householder life, devotee's life? Not necessary. People could have gone to find the solution in so many ways, tried for ages together, but nothing worked. So, but this is the tested path. We are following that, it will happen. If I have done this karma, why can I not do the other's karma? If I have, through ignorance or attachment, I have come to this point, I will trace back to myself, that's all. The example of the kite, when you fly the kite, the thread is released. So then the kite is flying so high. You want to get it back, turn in the opposite direction. It will happen. Very simple. If you believe in the karma theory. And God's grace is of course there. Thank you. So we'll see you all of us again at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for those who are online. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.